Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelins Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR Media Network studios, where they are clearly sumptuous and palatial, both at once, simultaneously. I am broadcasting live 2 miles from the veritable belly of the beast, the locus of evil on the entire West Coast. That's the capital of California, Fornicalia, called Sacramento. Because Sacramento is where the homeless go to poop all over the sidewalks. I have the photographs to prove it. What a glorious thing living in a utopia like California. You got a belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back tonight. Blaine is going to be your bartender. He pours with the best of them. The lava lamp is, in fact, lighted to my left, your right, meaning that you can listen and chat right here at the SHRmedia.com website, SHRmedia.com, or you can watch with your very own tubular eyeballs, Mark 1, Model 1 eyeballs, on the SHR Media Facebook page, the SHR Media YouTube channel, or on the SHR Media group, Periscope. I gotta tell you one thing, though. We don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze, she is not. All we ask is that you flush the toilet, which is right over there if you have to use it. You know where it is. Jiggle the handle on account of because we don't want to waste water, right? And don't forget to tip your waitress. Immediately already, I got to say welcome to Jan McKillop. Welcome to Michael John Pasqua. Welcome to Mary Brockman, Beantown Billy, and one viewer. Before we go anywhere else, let's turn down the volume just a little bit, shall we? There we go. I think that's better. Now I'm not blasting out your ears. Hey, I'm just kind of curious because I'm in chat right now, and folks, I'm sorry if you happen to be in Periscope chat or YouTube chat or Facebook chat. My apologies, but with all the junk that's going on around me and all the various GURP that I have to do and try to keep track of what I'm saying. Hey, Alaskan, welcome to you. Good to see you. I'm only in one chat room, and I can't be all three places at once. We're still trying to figure out what gets the best bang for the buck. We appear to get most of our views recently these days on Facebook. So, I don't know. It just kind of depends where we're going to go. But anyway, what I was going to get to was this. About almost 4 weeks ago now, on Thursday, I spoke to Brandon Straka, who's the creator of the entire Walk Away movement. And instead of speaking for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or even 15 minutes, which would have been extremely gracious, Brandon Straka spoke to me for the entire hour. Well, he's a little busy these days because this is an extra added attraction that I don't think people are factoring in to the vote. My purpose from now until November 6th is to let everyone know that all is not lost and that there are great stories out there for you to hear and read and listen to, stories that people are not telling you, stories that I'm going to be telling you because they need to be heard. And we'll get into this. Oh, Alaskan says, hey, all you saloon rats. Great. Anyway, there are great stories out there. I'm not a big fan of polls, but you don't take them literally. What you do is you use them as mileage markers to indicate where you think things may be going. I'm not going to, we can't get complacent. I can't get complacent. You can't get complacent. I will say what I am. I am this. I am, God, what's a good way to say this? I am guardedly optimistic. And there are reasons that I say this. But before we call, by the way, my first guest tonight, my only guest tonight, is going to be Kaiser Schuff. Now, he has been in Afghanistan. He's a patriot soldier. Love me some Kaiser Schuff. Going to be calling him in just a little bit. But the reason I'm getting to this is all because I want you to know that Brandon Straka has said that he's going to be back on the show on Thursday, which I find absolutely amazing considering that, if you remember, the entire hashtag Walk Away March on DC starts the very next day, October 26th. So I emailed him and I thought, I'm already at no. Who's to say I might get to yes? And so I emailed him. I've got his email, and he said, hey, yeah, I remember you. I really enjoyed doing your show. You bet. I'll be on. So this Thursday night, I'm going to have Brandon Straka on again. And I consider that a very wonderful thing for him to have done. Really enjoyed speaking to him, and we're going to be talking to him again. And essentially, all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him this, because I think that the walkaway movement and this march coming this weekend is another piece of the puzzle, and it's something that I don't believe the leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots have factored in to the situation. We'll know. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing. This is like 2 weeks today to the vote, to the midterms. Oh my gosh. 2 weeks. So if you haven't mailed in your absentee ballot, make sure that you do, in fact, mail in your absentee ballot. And make sure that you vote on November the 6th. I mean, if you have to get up, if it's raining, if it's storming, please make sure that you get up early, vote early, get in there before everybody else, and vote red November 6th. Vote red November 6th. Yeah, okay. Well, tell you what. Let's call him again, and I'll keep chatting. Because even if he doesn't around, if he's not around, of course, I have a lot of material to talk about. Kaiser might be asleep. Who knows? It could be late at night where he is. Anyway, having said that, well, hey, Kaiser, is that you, sir?
Yes, give me a second. I have to get my earphones.
Okay, great. I'll just keep chatting. In any event, be here Thursday night in the saloon where you'll again hear Brandon Straka. And I think that I have to ask you this. Folks, have you heard anything at all on the media at all about this march on D.C. this weekend? And the answer is, of course, you haven't. Because that's the point of the American media maggots, is to make sure that you are treated like crap in a cat box. You're to be covered up. You can't know what's going on. Beantown Billy says, put some clothes on, Kaiser. Hey, welcome to Kathleen in chat. You're a new person. Great to see you here. Come back. You're welcome here any and every time. Anyway, like I said, have you heard anything about this march on D.C.? And the answer is no, you haven't. That's purposeful. And do you think that the hashtag walkaway movement is going to have any effect on votes come November 6th? I can only say, oh, not just yeah, but hell yeah. Because if you've ever watched any of those testimonials on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or any of the other various forms of social media, who do you see giving testimonials about walking away from the Democrats? Why, yes, it would be predominantly Black Americans, Hispanics, Asians, pretty much everybody, tons of women of all shapes, stripes, and sizes, who've all said, I've had it with the Democrats. And it's purposeful that this is not covered, because why would the American media maggots want to promote essentially their own defeat? Because the American media maggots, as I've said before numerous times, are nothing but the publishing wing of the Democrats. I'm sure you probably agree with me about that. Kaiser, do you have headphones, sir?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You were on such a delicious rant. I couldn't interrupt.
Okay. Hey, folks, you've heard him before, the one, the only, Kaiser Schuff. And, hey, Alan Thomas just jumped into chat. Great,
Hey, how's it going, Alan?
great to see you there, Alan. In any event, you have been away for a while, and you have been across the pond, shall we say, near the sandbox, shall we say. But before we go there, because we are going to go there, tell folks, because you have your own show, so tell folks where they can find your show.
Well, let me pull it up because I did a show quickly when I got back.
Yep.
But I need to check it out.
And I listened to it. And while he's doing that, he's known as Swordpoint 9, SWORDPOINT 9. And he has his own show, Fireside Chat. And he's on YouTube. And watch him, follow Kaiser Schuff. You can subscribe to his channel, give him a big-ass thumbs up when his videos come out. Hey, because if I can't promote you, Kaiser, who the hell can I promote?
I don't know. I can promote you and I can promote Alan, too. You guys are stellar individuals.
Oh, Beantown
But
Billy.
yeah, it's... Huh?
Beantown Billy says, by the way, on Kaiser's big-ass couch.
Yeah. Take a seat on Kaiser's couch.
Yes.
In Kaiser's castle.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to stop by, take a seat on my couch, and we'll talk about whatever flows out of my mind. And I enjoy this live chat, so you become a part of my show too.
Yep, exactly. And it's, folks, if you've never been to his show, it's like being in his living room. It's like sitting down on his couch and just having a conversation between a couple of folks about all sorts of various topics. But Kaiser is a soldier. He's been in numerous branches of the military, and you just got back, like I say, from the sandbox. And
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm a contractor now. I've been a contractor since 2005. Iraq 4 times. This is the 5th time in Afghanistan, and 1 time in Indonesia. And I'm bound to another undisclosed place.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I listened to your show, and I think you said that you're going November 1st?
Yeah.
However,
that's the tentative date.
However, if I'm not mistaken, you said something similar to it's not going to be sandy, that you're kind of done with sand.
Yes, I'm finished with it. This last trip out there, I've never been a fobbit. A fobbit is a derogatory term we used for people that never left the base. And this one was being a fobbit. I was on a fob, forward outpost.
Forward operating base, right?
Forward operating base, yeah. Jesus.
And basically what you said is you were on lockdown, essentially, in Kandahar.
Yeah, and it is no longer the Afghanistan that I've ever been to. It's ridiculous, actually, what they do. But it's all minutia and past experience and water under the bridge now.
Well, when I was listening to your show, I think you made a number of rather salient points. One of them was that this administration is drawing down forces in Afghanistan. So would that be accurate?
Yes, that's very accurate.
Okay.
And that's fine. I mean, we've become like the house guest that stays over 3 days in Afghanistan. We've now been there, 17 years.
Yeah, a long-ass time.
And, yeah, too long. But all we're doing is postponing what's inevitable. It'll go back into tribal warfare. All the stuff So it was disgusting to me, so I had to leave. TCNs now everywhere, third country nationals, driving, and trust me, they don't drive well. Ugandans, Indians, Pakistanis, and then you have Afghans taking over large portions of the base. And it's become a money pit. That's what it is. It's your tax dollars and mine are going to be useless once we leave. All the money we've sent there. So,
I had no idea what a TCN was, and by listening to your show, I learned an assload of things. And one is that, like you said, TCNs are third country nationals. All right, folks. So let me make sure I understand what you're saying correctly, Kaiser. Our American taxpayer dollars are paying for, like you indicated, Ugandans, Pakistanis, and you mentioned some other nationality. We're paying them American tax dollars to do what maybe contractors and other persons used to do. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. It used to be you would have TCNs doing the porta potty cleanup, any ancillary stuff, and working in the DFACs. Then in Iraq in about 2009, they got real heavy with TCNs just pulling security at the gates and whatnot, which is cool, you know. But here's the rub. The contracting companies, the primes, and I've been a prime, and I've also been a prime means that you contract directly with the government or an agency of the government.
Okay.
Usually, sometimes, well, as a contractor, you contract through a company, but all they are is a facilitator. And what it's become now is you're an employee, basically. And they charge the same amount. The companies, they're still charging the same amount they did back in the day, but they've lowered the prices on Americans per day. You're lucky to see $200 a day. So you could get a job at Wendy's and make the same amount. Wendy's or McDonald's, whatever fast food joint you got locally. It's no longer worth it, and it's definitely not worth it when English is no longer the common language on the base.
On an American base.
Yeah, on an American base, right.
Okay, so you said that in your show, you said the Ugandans could speak no English. Basically, they say hello, sir, and goodbye, sir. And that there are third country nationals driving vehicles on American bases, which you said is not legal, but apparently they go ahead and do it anyway. So again, let me see if I understand the contracting situation in at least Afghanistan. American taxpayer dollars, or wait, that's right. They are American taxpayer dollars that are going to contractors who have no presence in Afghanistan, but are subbing those jobs out to TCNs, which are third country nationals. Is that accurate?
Right. That is accurate. Very accurate.
Okay, and they're also taking charge of security as well, I'm guessing.
Yes, they've actually got them on sites they've never had them before.
Okay.
And where they don't even belong. And there's a lot of reasons why I could enumerate them. I don't really want to get into it in depth because it'll be a boring show. But just things that normally should have a security clearance, and it's being done. It started, like I said, in 2009. And there's a lot of irregularities on what they do now. I've never experienced this before. Like, you have to give your passport to somebody so they can take your passport somewhere and get it stamped that you're in country, which is totally illegal. KBR did it in Kuwait, and they stamped us out while we were still there. So that meant as they dicked around in normal flights that were just logistical flights to get you in or out of country.
Okay.
You would get out that same day that you arrived. Well, instead, I was there 10 days in Kuwait. And you're just sitting there cooling your heels. And in my opinion, it was just such a waste of money. And I am the foremost expert on my opinion.
As well you should be.
I'm not trying to justify anything. Yeah. I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just telling you this is the situation that's for real going on in the ground over there. And, it was just disgusting. And if I see something, it's like a bad partner when I was a cop. You just get a divorce from it. That's it.
Well, there's a lot of reactions to you appearing in chat. Alan Thomas says, hey, I'm so excited he's back. He's keeping you in your prayers, bro. Murray Brockman was saying, hey, thank Kaiser for his service. So thank you for your service. And Murray Brockman says, apparently our government at work. And Alan Thomas just wrote, might as well call it their base. We should pull out our assets and our dollars. And Jeff Dunnitz just jumped into chat, and he says, my wife is the expert on my opinion.
Nice. No, it basically has become, I've always called it a war of the billing. You remember
perfect.
The coalition of the willing that Bush called it?
Right.
Well, me and Robbie Young Pelton and a couple other people came up with the term coalition of the billing. And it is a war of the billing. When we have other countries that do help, we actually pay for them. And it's been this way. That's why it's a money dump. It's a money suck. But if you're somebody who has a conscience, it becomes that thing that you just despise. And you look at it every day and you're just disgusted by it. And you've got to go. And there's no sense in saying anything. Just do your job, shut your mouth, and leave. So, like I said, I didn't want this to become a bitch fest about it.
No, it's not. But here's how I look at it. I don't look at it as a bitch fest. I look at this as insight into what's actually occurring with my money, your money, the money from the American taxpayer. This isn't bitching. These are observations from someone who was there. And without you, I submit, we would not know that this is occurring because this is not being covered. Right or wrong, good, bad, indifferent, we would otherwise not know about this. The other thing that I learned about listening to your show, the last one that you had, is that we're also transitioning to support Afghans and that there are more Afghan commandos. So they're starting to pick up a workload then?
Yeah, their op tempos come up, which is cool. I had no problems. You're in Afghanistan, so of course you should be working with the Afghans if you're legitimately passing everything over to them.
Right.
I have no problem with that. But then there's even abuses in that, and it becomes. How do I put this? They're getting used to having Americans support them logistically and tactically and technically.
Okay.
And that is an issue because they're going to have to stand up and do this without anything but maybe some financial support one day. But then how is that going to be misused once you leave, when you see it being misused now? And like I said, there's a lot to it. A lot of it's tedious and boring, but these details are what will bury an operation if you don't handle them correctly. And in my opinion, the government's doing what the government does. They're dumping money into a shit pit, and it's going to become a complete and total fuck show. And that's all I have to say.
While I was listening to your show as well, you had said, you were saying that TCNs are being tasked with some security responsibilities. You also said that that you have Ukrainians working on various aircraft, American aircraft. You have Afghans working on U.S. aircraft. So in terms of security with TCNs and your comfort level of TCNs and other people working on security and our aircraft, do you have confidence in that?
Well, yeah, the Ukrainians are there for a specific type of aircraft that's actually a Soviet-era aircraft. It's as old as the Huey. It's called the Mi-17.
Oh, is it the Hind?
And no, it's a 17.
Okay.
It's an Mi-17, and it's a transport, and that's what we're transitioning them from those because of parts being problematic now for them because they're so old. Even though there's a shit pot load of them, within the old Soviet client states, it's an old airframe, and so we're transitioning them to Blackhawks and Little Birds.
Okay.
So that's just a little inside baseball on that. But then they fly a lot of prop planes. I have not seen them transition them to jets yet, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. I bring this issue up, that is to say our working relationship with Afghans, Afghan commandos, various forms of Afghanis, tribal and nomadic as they are, because this incident just occurred. Let's see, we got about two more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. So what I'd like to do, Kaiser Schuff, folks, we're talking to Kaiser Schuff, Sword Point 9, and he just got back from assignment back in the Middle East, and he's going to be leaving again on November 1st. I noticed this article. I want to go over this article, and then after the break, when we come back, I'd like your opinion and thoughts on it, because I noticed this, I think it was less than a week ago. U.S. Afghan commander escapes assassination attempt. General Scott Miller lives, but Kandahar Police Chief General Abdul Razik is killed. The top U.S. commander in Afghanistan survived an assassination attempt Thursday. I think that was last Thursday. But a high-ranking Afghan official was killed. U.S. Army General Scott Miller was not injured in the attack in Kandahar City, which took place after a meeting to discuss security ahead of Saturday's national elections, reports the Wall Street Journal. However, the assault, in which bodyguards for a regional governor opened fire, did kill Kandahar's police chief, General Abdul Razik, described by the Journal as, quote, one of southern Afghanistan's most powerful political and military figures, unquote. One other Afghan official was killed. The regional governor was critically injured, and 3 Americans, a Service America and 2 civilians, were also hurt, per the AP. So when we come back, we're going to hit a break here for a second. And again, we're talking to Kaiser Schuff. Kaiser, when we come back, I'd like your thoughts on that, because just that one article in and of itself, man, I have to tell you, sir, that spoke volumes to me.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This is Sackhead Sean.
And this is Sackhead's Clint.
And Sackhead's BZ.
Join us for a very important SHR Media special report, Election Night, November 6th, as we cover midterm returns live from the SHR Media Studios.
Not only will we have the best live election coverage, we'll have our very own SHR reporters on scene around the nation to keep you immediately updated.
We'll start at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and go until, well, it's over. We may have some choice comments to make along the way.
For the best midterm election night coverage, go to shrmedia.com and watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, and on Periscope. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
You are listening to the bloviating Zeppelin right here, live and direct from the SHR, the bounteous SHR Media Studios in Sacramento, Fornicalia. Thanks for listening. Make sure you listen next Thursday night where I have Brandon Straka back. And right now we're talking to Kaiser Schuff, who is a grand American patriot, a soldier, contractor. And we were talking to him recently about his having been in Afghanistan and various assignments. Before we hit the break, there was an article that I read about a U.S. Afghan commander, a United States commander, who barely escaped an assassination. That was U.S. Army General Scott Miller. And I had talked to Kaiser earlier about, do we trust folks in Afghanistan And now after that, it's no secret, it's out in the media right now, Kaiser. Any thoughts on that act that just occurred?
Yeah, I have some thoughts, but before I get into those, I've got to get out the official olive, the filthy olive, filthy pimento olive.
Yes.
Put it on my drink.
Of course.
Remember, folks, you have to buy bartender approved filthy olives if you're going to listen to the SHR Media Network.
That's true.
Our little plug for filthy olives. No, it's not like I have stock in the company or anything.
Me neither.
What I will say, I probably should, but I don't. But like I was saying, I get it. The elections are always tumultuous. This is just something you're going to have. Assassinations are common. It's nothing to get your panties in a bunch about, folks. That's just what you're in a third world country, a literal third world country. It's landlocked. There's no ocean ports. There's really no reason. It's known as the graveyard of empire for a reason. And unfortunately, America has become empire. Whether you like it or not, that's just the case. And unless you look at things logically and, you think about it technically, and you can be dispassionate over it, there's no sense in worrying. I mean, everybody buys the ticket, takes the ride. You don't expect to come home, and if you do, it's a bonus. It's just my 2 cents on it. Of course not. Look, it is a contractor's war, what we're doing over there, in an SF war.
Okay.
Honestly. And we play by big boy rules, You buy the ticket, take the ride. The unfortunate part is the soldier, the sailor, the Marine, the airman. They get paid very little money. They have to be in that shithole. They don't have the option that I do where I can just say, I'm cashing out. This is stupid. As anybody can that's a contract. Because I don't know. I'm not into mental masturbation or wasting my time or my government's money. And if I see things that are happening, like I said, if it's a bad scene, then you're helping to prolong the problem. You're no longer a part of the solution. And if that ever becomes a part of your mindset, then your head's not going to be in the game, and it's time to leave it. And like I said, this was not meant to be a bitch fest. I enjoy coming on BZ's show because BZ has a great show. And I want to add some content that, is fascinating or at least funny. And that's kind of the point. And, there's a lot of hijinks and funny stuff I could tell you about. But...
Well, see, the deal is we're getting a perspective that won't commonly be seen. Now, if you have funny stories that you can tell, dude, I am always up for a funny story. I just don't know.
I've got lots of them.
I just don't know if you can tell them or not.
Oh, I can.
Because of the nature of things, nudge, nudge.
I won't get into names or specific places, but what I will do is I'm able to tell some funny stories. This is from back in Iraq in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's a good one. It's funny to me because as the folks hear the story, they'll see that I sort of have a black sense of humor sometimes. We were
can't imagine why.
We were up in Mosul, coming back to the run. We were teaching Iraqi police, and we're coming back from a run from where we taught them out there at the foothills of the Kurdish mountains. And we were going to Merez. It's an army camp.
Okay.
And as you pass the walls of Nineveh and you make your right-hand turn onto that big-ass highway, there's a part that has a pedestrian bridge over the highway, and you have houses on both sides. And this is what I mean about getting out in the public. This is where you have your fun. This is where shit happens and it's funny. And you know, like I said, a very dry sense of humor. So take it tongue firmly in cheek with the words funny. But as we're coming down this thing, you can see a guy parked over on the side, and I have to give the backstory on this.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was there used to be a guy that was really good when I first got there. He was a specialist, Spec 4. And if something started to happen, his gun and him were on it. And the staff sergeant, who happened to be black, accused him, because he was from Alabama, of being too fast on the gun and a racist. So they took him. No, it's for real. Okay. And they took him, reduced him in rank. They reduced the specialist to a private first class for being too fast on the gun and being racially motivated, which was not the case. And they put him basically on the fob, you know, our little base.
Right.
And they put this fat fucker up on the gun, another soldier. And he was a piece of shit. That's all I'll say. And so he's looking away. I'm behind the Hummer in a hard car, up armored vehicle. And I see this dude, and I'm looking at fat fuck, looking up at, I don't know, the buildings, whatever, and the gun's pointed towards this vehicle, but his attention's totally the other 180 degrees away. And this dude just sitting in his car. And I start putting the brakes on a little bit, because I'm like, this is not going to be good. And yeah, idiot turns his car on or speeds it up, crosses the median from the opposite direction, does his turn and hits the back of the Hummer. And I think fat fuck's dead. You know, he's got to be dead. They had just started putting the extended bumpers on him. And the V-bed went off, and it basically, if you've ever seen hard cars in their vehicles, the windscreen went green because of shit that hit it in my car, because it just shattered parts of it. And, you know, it's an event when something like that happens. I mean, you know,
an
hot.
event.
I mean, there's a lot of things I can describe, but hot and loud. Anyways, so we basically make a triangle around the car to excavate everybody, you know, figuring everybody's dead, but nobody was. It was very lucky. Nobody was dead, none of the soldiers. And got him into our vehicle. The last guy, that staff sergeant, gets out, and they had Blue Force tracker, and he takes an AT-4 and hits the inside of the Hummer with it so that they can't take the AT-4. And what'll happen is the strikers will come and tow that over to Merez, that Hummer. Anywho, so we get everybody to Merez, uneventful. There was also, during that time, we were coming under fire. It's typical during this era. And anyways, we exfilled everybody, got them over to Merez. They are all getting treated for minor, you know, cuts, bruises, whiplash-type injuries, that kind of thing. Like I said, nobody, and, you know, little burns. But that's it. It wasn't that big a deal. And everybody's safe and sound. And when we get to the DFAC that night, CNN has footage of that incident, and shows the Hummer, you know, on fire and everything. So, you know, they got that. They've always been in bed with terrorists. That's my opinion. And I am the foremost expert on my opinion.
That's right.
But the interesting thing was they said that 5 military policemen were killed. And I looked at them, and I said, hey, guys, fuck it. I said, get in my vehicle. I said, I'm driving you to the airport. They're like, why? What are you talking about, dude? I'm like, you're dead. They just said you're dead. You're going home. And that's what the last time I watched TV was because of that incident, because it was disgusting to me. They've misreported a lot of death fatalities, but this has been systemic within the media. And anyway, so the point being was after we got there, I made sure to let them know my opinion on fat fuck and that staff sergeant, and I created a lot of waves. Because that's what you do. If there's some issue that you see an injustice on, I don't give a fuck who it is. I honestly don't. That is the one time in your life when you're in a fucking war zone that it should be totally merit-based, because it's other people's lives. And there you go. That's the story. And I've got more, but I'll have to remember them.
All right. Now, you went to Afghanistan. You went to Kandahar. You were on an FOB, a forward operating base.
Yeah.
It seems like the contractors are subbing to everybody. Is your impression that the U.S. is just going to step back out of Afghanistan? And the second question, the second follow-up to that is the U.S. leaving Afghanistan a good thing?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Because it's a money pit, it is a good thing.
Okay.
But it's going to devolve into retributional conflict. You know, back to tribalism. It's going to separate into its provinces, as it always does. We'll probably prop up the government like the Soviets did for as long as they could. But it'll become like Iraq did when we leave. It's the same mentality, folks. This is nothing. If you really want to make a difference, and I was a true believer at one time, like I said, I thought I was making a difference. When you realize you're not making a difference, then, like I said, it's time to cut bait and leave. There's no reason. You know, at the time, we thought that would stem terrorism. Where, like I said, we're now an unwanted guest, except for they want our money. But then it's always been a fuck show since Paul Bremer. In Iraq is where it really started getting stupid. They started out with General Order 1. The troops couldn't leave the base. They walled in everybody into T-walls. So the actual terrorists set the narrative within the media about what Americans are like. Everybody thinks Americans have a bunch of girlfriends, even if they're married. They think we're immoral. They believe everything they see on TV, sort of like Americans here, right?
Right.
And but see, you allow them to set the narrative by cutting off soldiers from and contractors. You know, if they're not actually working with Iraqis or Afghanis. And so that narrative will sit in and become fact. And they'll just believe it. And, of course, when our media will say, oh, somebody got drunk and went out and killed a bunch of kids or whatever, you know, they'll set that kind of narrative, and that'll play big over there because they're not actually meeting America. And we've become like an overstaying guest, you know, and I get it. And it's going to devolve back into what it was previous. All this shit we spent money on, those aircraft, that we'll leave them, will be mothballed, just like their other MIs and other aircraft that are there from the Soviet era. You know, you can see them in the Kandahar airport, you know, these helicopters that haven't been used in probably 30 years. And they're just mothballed. And artifacts of a Soviet campaign.
Okay, let me ask you this, if I can. Nature abhors a vacuum, and we know what happened in Iraq. It turned into a likewise shit show, as did Egypt, and all the various I don't know what Hillary Clinton called it, the Middle Eastern summer or whatever the hell that was. In any event, nature abhors a vacuum. Arab Spring, thank you. I even got the damn season wrong. Okay, thanks for correcting me. In any event, because nature abhors a vacuum, who's going to step in your opinion? ISIS? Al-Qaeda? Someone like that?
Well, you got to remember, ISIS is USIS. That was a CIA war, CIA funded under Obama administration. Nobody can deny it. That's what ISIS was. Anyways, between the CIA and NGOs, that's how ISIS came about. Non-governmental organizations like Soros.
Right.
Same kind leading this, same type of people that are leading these fucking third worlders up into America now to invade. And it is an invasion force. And if you don't believe me, you better think. And they're just using women and children because of my optics. They're able to make us look like whatever, because what needs to happen there is we need to send the guard to the border and recreate Kent State. Because that's the only way you're going to stop this flood of the invasion. And people will go to jail because of it. That's what's going to happen. This is entirely being done to screw us over as a nation. You better believe me on this. I'm seeing what's happening. And it's the same shit that we did in the Middle East during the Arab Spring. We're destabilizing our own fucking country. That's a problem, BZ.
We're going to get back to that because I had some other questions, and I think probably after the top of the hour we'll go more politics for the and definitely Kaiser Schuff, folks. We're talking to Kaiser Schuff, a great American patriot, contractor, soldier, etc. Just came back from contracting in Afghanistan. He's going to be heading out November 1st, and wherever it is that he goes, it's not going to involve sand. Simone, welcome to Simone in chat. Good to see you come in. So if it's not going to be ISIS that's going to be filling the vacuum, is Al-Qaeda strong enough that they will come in, or will Afghanistan simply devolve into what it was before, an assload of various Bedouins all fighting each other?
It'll turn into the ethnic strife in the normal way it was done before us. Before the Soviets, all the way back to the 7th century. You know, you have to think. You will run into dudes that look like they are Americans that are Afghans because of the gene pool mixing that has occurred from all these former conquests or attempts to conquest. You have Asians, you have all the ethnicities. It's not unless you leave the bases that you see how diverse each area is. But it devolves into ethnic and tribal warfare. And that's what I think is in store for Afghanistan. You know, even if General Dostum wins, which I didn't look at the election results, because once I left, I've just been disgusted and didn't want to see shit on anything to do with Afghanistan anymore. So, you know, I hope General Dostum won the presidential election, but I don't know if he did or not.
Okay. I also welcome to Ghost Wolf 2018. Ghost Wolf is in the house, so welcome. Good to see you there.
Hey, Ghost Wolf. How's it going, brother? Shout out.
So, what is the purpose? I think I know what the answer is, and I may Bigfoot myself by giving you the answer, but what is the purpose of having a presence in Afghanistan? In other words, what is the worth of Afghanistan? My guess would be poppies, but, you know, that's just me being crazy. That aside, what's the worth of being in Afghanistan?
Well, Afghanistan, and you're not incorrect, trust me, there are white planes that leave Afghanistan, Kandahar's airport, daily. And we're talking Antonov planes, the big ones.
Okay.
And they fly out daily. They're carrying something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have to think about it's rich in minerals.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. That I find that absolutely fucking fascinating, because just Kaiser Schuff, just as you were saying that, Beantown Billy in chat just said lithium.
Mm-hmm. It's the largest deposit of lithium in the world, and that's a fact. And you know, so they also have some oil deposits, believe it or not. It's very rich, but the problem is the Afghanis. You know, they'll work, but it sounds, how do I put this? It's going to sound words coming out of my white ass, but it's the truth. The problem is the Afghanis. Their cultural and societal norms, you know, that they're not, they don't have a big work ethic. And it's systemic within the entire region. I mean, you know, you have some outliers. You have the Egyptians. You have the Iranians. You know, they'll work. The Iraqis will work, you know, some places. Afghans similar too, but work to them is not, it's not what we would consider work. You know, I was a union iron worker putting myself through college while I was in the Guard after I got out of the Marine Corps. And their work is not their work ethic is not the same as an American work ethic. And people just need to realize that. It's become political. You know, we're basically the plasma bag to keep the body of Afghanistan alive. And without us, their standard of living has increased. I've watched it increase since the first time I was there. But it's all propped up with our money. I can't put it any other way. Their money's based off our money.
Ghost Wolf 2018 in chat said something very prescient. He said, we need to quit depending on third worlders that hate us and stop giving them dollars.
Exactly. And that is the fact. But see, our geopolitics is strictly linked to that U.S. dollar. And what happens when the U.S. dollar fell? And it's going to happen. It will happen one day.
Yes, it will.
People, this is just logical.
Yes.
And so what do? We hasten the demise of our dollar by doing it. And that's just not a good thing. I don't want to get into the geopolitical thought processes on that, but that is a real thought process. I mean, I guess I always do get into geopolitics. I'm a sucker for it. and honestly, I hate saying that I've lost faith in a lot of things. I guess I'm more jaded, but I have lost faith in a lot of things. And I no longer, I just don't see the government as the positive thing I once saw it as, our own government. And that's kind of sad with the entire amount of time I've spent working for the government. I don't even want to work for them anymore, and I'm not going to. I've taken that decision. I will never do another U.S. contract. I said that before, and then, of course, I did this. But it won't happen again. You know, once burned, twice learned. So, my 2 cents.
There's some really interesting stuff going on in chat. Ghost Wolf said we need to return to the gold standard. Jeff Dunnett said is what we need to do is stop giving dollars to American socialists who hate us.
Yep.
And there's so much more that we could talk about. I mean, just the gold standard. It was Richard Nixon, by the way, folks, who took us off of the gold standard, of all people. That in and of itself, Kaiser Schuff, leads to an amazing question that I'm not certain I know the answer to, and that is, do we really have any gold in Fort Knox anymore? Now, folks, we're going to continue listening to Kaiser Schuff. We're going to hit the top of the hour break, come back, and then we're going to talk some politics. Oh, a little politics? Maybe a lot of politics. Don't go away anywhere. You're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin right here, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. And you are in the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon and the radio show. Come right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This is Sackhead Sean.
And this is Sackhead's Clint.
And Sackhead's BZ.
Join us for a very important SHR Media special report, Election Night, November 6th, as we cover midterm returns live from the SHR Media Studios.
Not only will we have the best live election coverage, we'll have our very own SHR reporters on scene around the nation to keep you immediately updated.
We'll start at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and go until, well, it's over. We may have some choice comments to make along the way.
For the best midterm election night coverage, go to shrmedia.com and watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, and on Periscope. SHRmedia.com. Be there.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Wow. This is a great show, and everybody, I'm glad you're listening. Jeff Dunitz made a very important comment here, and I think that probably was between himself and Sackhead Sean. And when the music's over, you can turn out the light. Anyway, about that election night special, which is going to occur right here, live and direct at the SHR Media Studios, we're going to cover the midterms early on until whenever the hell it ends on November 6th. And that is, oddly enough, that's a BZ night. So BZ is going to be here nice and early, starting the show. Sackhead Sean is going to be here. Sackhead's Clint is going to be here. And Jeff Dunitz will be one of the reporters who will be weighing in from the East Coast, because Jeff is from New York City in a strange locker in New York City, just as it says in his promo. So, folks, just want to let you know, election night, you can come here. We're going to start at anywhere from like 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific, which will be like 6 o'clock Eastern. I don't know how much we'll be back by 6 o'clock. And as I indicated at the beginning of the hour, I am guardedly optimistic about what's going to happen in the midterms. And I think this weekend, the hashtag walkaway march on D.C., I think that is going to have an influence. I'm not exactly sure how much, but I think that's going to have an important influence on the elections the very next week. And like I said, right now in East Coast, it's like 7 minutes after midnight. So it's 13 days towards before we hit the midterms. But this time next week, or excuse me, 2 weeks from now, this time 2 weeks from now, we'll be going through all the elections, all the election coverage, shrmedia.com. You want to be here to listen in, because we're going to have a ton of people, election results, and we will keep you abreast and apprised. My God, if you were here on election night 2016 during the presidency, the presidential election, oh my gosh, did we have a great time. Jeff says he's going to crash, so I understand it. Take care, Jeff. It's after midnight. Anyway, the bottom line is this, shrmedia.com, election night, you got to be here. We're going to have it all covered. In the meantime, we're talking to Kaiser Schuff, and we've had a great chat room here tonight. We got the Alaskan in chat. We got Alan Thomas in chat. Kaiser himself, Jan McKillop, Ghost Wolf is in chat. Jeff Dunitz, Simone Says, Beantown Billy, and 2 viewers who are unmasked because we do not, who will remain masked because we do not unmask you here in the saloon. Just wanted to say that. Hey, right? Okay, so folks, we're listening to Kaiser Schuff. We just got through talking about the military, his former assignment, and now we're going to transition over to politics. While you're here, I got a couple of stories that I wanted to read, and I'll do that a little bit later. But it's been a long time since we've had you on the show, and you've been busy. And there are some other issues that I wanted to address, and one of them... I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
You did hear that there's a used Ford for sale. You got to inquire with Feinstein. This election cycle is going to be outstanding. And folks should tune into SHR. I know I'll be able to listen to it online from wherever I'll be, parts unknown. But I think you're going to enjoy this election cycle. Everybody says hashtag for everything. Well, I remember when that was pound.
Yeah, and, exactly. Yeah.
You know, the pound sign.
Right.
Right. And so, like, you know, the Me Too, pound Me Too, man. You know, that was always what I took from it, you know, the Me Too movement.
Yep.
So, you know, instead of hashtagging Me Too, pound Me Too. Think about it.
Okay. That's
what the girls are saying, pound Me Too.
Speaking of hashtag or pound Me Too, I got to ask you, because it's been so long since we've spoken, what did you think about all of the ridiculous crap that was going on with regard to Judge Brett Kavanaugh, his nomination, and his subsequent approval? I mean, was that not insanity writ large? Insane.
Well, guys, this is what social justice brings in the end. SJWs are the culmination of cultural Marxism. And our politics, all of our agencies are totally, well, it started with political correctness, and everybody will say Bill Clinton started that, and I tell them, no, you forget George Bush's 1,000 points of light speech, where he said we need to become a kinder, gentler, more politically correct society. That's where it's both parties, folks. So use your vote well, but realize the system is only starting to be changed by Donald Trump. Whether you like him or hate him, the fact remains is he's turning our culture back to a place it needs to be, a place of sanity. And the Kavanaugh hearing was the culmination of it. There is a factual rebuking of their entire ideology on both parties. I'll tell you the thing that blew me away, it was nice seeing him grab his testicles and fucking stand up. Lindsey Graham.
Yes.
That was phenomenal. And once McCain died, it's like the Paul left the Senate. That piece of shit, I got my opinions on McCain. I'm glad he's taking the dirt nap, because there was no way you were going to get him out of office while he was alive. And that's my 2 cents on him.
I'll just say that he was extremely disappointing. I wrote post after post after post about John McCain, what I also really thought about John McCain. Before we go further, I pretty much guarantee that you haven't heard this. The people that listen to the show have heard this before. There's a... I can't say it's necessarily a company, but it's an entity called a bad lip reading. And I'm going to play, this is an abbreviated or an updated White House press briefing with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And I find it funny as hell. Now, these words are placed to the exact lips of these reporters that are talking to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I don't think you've seen it here before or heard it. And for those of you who haven't, I don't be drinking anything when I play this, because I'm going to play it in about 10 seconds. Don't drink anything. Don't drink anything carbonated, because it's going to come out your nose and it'll be basically the wrong way. You won't like that at all. This is a White House press briefing.
I need a drink. Okay, idiots, are you ready? I just can't stand the faces of you people. Those dead, questioning eyes. You dummies don't matter. Greedo?
What happens when I scratch a horseradish all over my face?
Now, why would you do this?
Well, definitely gonna scrape it somewhere.
Yeah, you don't matter. Mangy?
Okay, my beard itches pretty bad. Is this because of my bugs?
You have literal bugs?
Uh-huh. I think it's mainly bed bugs.
Okay, you gotta go.
Wait, is this about the bugs?
Nice.
Yeah, it is. Stank?
Yeah, when is the Roswell
you really thought to take your question? You suck.
Hey, the way you talk to me, I mean, do you need to talk so evil?
Do you need to look like a stuffed baked potato in that Walmart shirt? 'Cause you suck. Lanky?
It's been a whole hour since Kristen sat on my whistle.
I did not sit on it.
Then where's my whistle?
It's a really important issue, chomp.
Yeah, what about guys like me, you know? Like, our eyes are really honest, but then our brain's got a violent virus.
I could not care less. Creature?
How can I tell if my Labrador is female?
Easy, you suck. Let's see, Sasquatch Steven.
Would you rub my feet if I tickled yours?
You're weird. Nah, nope.
Not even fun tickles?
What is that? Listen, I'm gonna punch you and I'll punch in your esophagus.
Great.
Chocolate curl?
You know how I was part of a gang that made bed quilts?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one guy, Benji Binkelman, had this horrible breast problem.
Okay, so maybe we'll just wrap that up, turd.
What I really need is a craft table, a magic wand, and someone to feed me pickles.
Okay, Jeeves.
That's delightful.
Do you feel you prefer ice sheets or maybe like summer rain?
Or I could feed you to the polar bears.
All right.
Gina.
It's Gina.
That's what I said. Gina.
Gina.
I'm sorry?
Gina?
Yeah, I don't know. Chachi? Stink leg? Bork? Varicose Ken? Disc jerk?
Hey, I'm crazy about you. When can I see you?
You know, never sounds like a good day.
Hey, I'm sensitive, yet dangerous. and I make nachos.
Okay, to be honest, I think that most people in the world will find you disappointing.
Why are you saying this?
Because you suck.
Wait a minute. Nice. Roast beef for sale, marriages for the lemonade. It's all we will get.
I'll bury you people.
Every day I worry all day.
I'm sorry. I just love the hell out of playing that. I do.
That's hilarious, man. That's awesome.
Okay,
stuff.
well, we needed to have some levity. Anyway, we were talking about, folks, we're talking to Kaiser Schuff, a great American patriot, soldier, contractor, got back from Afghanistan just recently, and now we're talking politics in the second hour. He weighed in on Kavanaugh, and now you mentioned earlier, and I was going to go there, you mentioned leftist violence. Let me ask you this question. This is sort of the big umbrella question that I've been asking anybody that comes on my show the past month. And that's this. We won the Oval Office in 2016. We, I mean conservatives, GOP, independents. I'm a registered independent, and the Democrats hate us. So we have the Oval Office. Then we acquired Neil Gorsuch in the Supreme Court. Then we just acquired Brett Kavanaugh as our newest Associate Justice. Let me ask you this, Kaiser Schuff. Theoretically speaking, should we win and should we keep the House and keep the Senate, or perhaps even add a couple of seats to the Senate, or in our wildest fetid imaginations, should we add a couple of seats to the House? What do you think the reaction is going to be? Because now that's essentially 4 losses in a row for leftists, the Democrats, and the American media maggots. If that occurs and we keep the House and the Senate on November 6th, what do you think November 7th is going to look like, sir?
Well, I think there'll be ass hurt everywhere. But what I also see is I see a couple different scenarios, plausible and likely. And I don't think I'm going to get any pushback from anybody when I speak to them. One is that they go violent, which is probably going to be the case.
I would agree.
But there could be the other effect, which is what happened under Reagan. People forget, even under Reagan, the lauded man, there was the meme, where people would call him Grandpa Caligula and different things like this, derogatory terms.
Right.
But you had the yuppies, all of a sudden these young urban professionals, and they were former Marxists and stuff, and they just embedded into our academia, embedded into our government, and decided they were going to change our country from the inside. And I think there's going to be a redoubling of that. You have to remember, everybody talks about the deep state, and most don't understand what that is. And all it is the SES, the Special Executive Service. And those people are appointed and basically have a job for life. And when you look at people that were in charge of the CIA, the IC, all these different communities, the FBI, these were all people that had a Marxist leftist bent, and they were running shit. And you saw under Obama the culmination of where they wanted to go, and they really believed Hillary was going to win. They believed it so much they put their lives, and prison sentences will come out because of the corruption that they did to get her lame, ugly ass on that seat in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And that is what happened. It's not rocket science, folks. It's not a big conspiracy. It's just like-minded people marching in lockstep. And those 8 years we had with Obama, I'm surprised this nation is still afloat. And that's my 2 cents on that. That's too likely.
You make an excellent point, and I believe this is why. And I completely concur when you say that the expectations were that Donald Trump was going to go whining over into the gutter, and it was going to be a Hillary Clinton presidency, because not only was she due, she was overdue. She was due, as far as she was concerned, to be president back in 2008. And then this upstart stepped in and took all the wind from her sails in that point. She was supposed to be president in 2016. And something else happened. The guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head strolled from, the stage right, so to speak.
Right.
But what we're finding out now is an amazing amount of stuff, as you indicated, about the deep state and people that are in their jobs for life. And I submit that had Hillary Clinton been elected, we would not know a fraction, not a percentile of the way that D.C. truly works, the squalor that has become our alphabet agencies, and how when they say that they're unbiased and apolitical, they are everything but those things. And I am with you. It's going to take a while, but I think some people are going to go to prison, not jail, but prison. There are so many factors that have been wrapped up into this. I have decided that I think there's only one thing we're looking at, is this was a soft coup against a presidential nominee, a soft coup against a president-elect, and a soft coup against a sitting president, because all the rest of this stuff is window dressing. The point is to shoot Donald Trump in the heart and not let anyone like him again anywhere near the Oval Office.
That's exactly what they want to do. The one thing that I tell people, for a coup to work, it's a three-legged stool, and it's the 3 M's of cooing. If you want to know the intricacies, it's this basic. You need money, media, and the military. Any one of those legs of that stool don't stand, then it goes away. The Democrats had the money, they had the media, they didn't have the military, and that's their short-sightedness.
Nor will they ever.
He did his best. People forget how many generals Obama fired.
Oh, well, that was a replay, sort of the night of the long knives, in terms of Obama riffing the crap out of generals. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and see, that's just, they gave it their all. The problem is they showed their hand too quickly, and the American people were aghast. I mean, when all of a sudden the last things that were his earmarks was he's pushing for men to be able to go into girls' bathrooms, because I feel like I'm a girl today. You know, when you have the entire lunacy of flipping two sexes, which there's only two, and whether somebody smokes a pole or rides a pole or whatever, and they're male or female, I don't care. That's not my business. I don't care what people do in their bedroom. But what I do have an issue with is when you start saying there's multiple different sexes. No, there's not. There's two. If somebody transitions, they transition. I don't care. It's not my business. If you want to wear a skirt, a pink skirt, and wear a flannel shirt, I'm okay, fine. I don't care. It matters not to me. But don't push that shit in my face. And I think most Americans are like that.
I would agree.
And this last election cycle was the culmination of that effect. And it's not racist, bigot, homophobe bullshit. No, there's normal and abnormal behavior. And no sentient being, and that's why I love the NPC meme.
Oh,
because they're non-playing characters.
Oh,
they will parrot.
That. I love
They
it.
will parrot media talking points, and it's programmed into them, and they don't see that they've been programmed. You know, there's a reason why it's called television programming, and this is what's going on. And I concur with you that this is exactly what happened. I concur with your opinion.
The NPC meme and the resulting butt-hurtedness, I just made up a new word, butt-hurtedness, that resulted from that was absolutely stellar. I enjoyed absolutely the crap out of that. But in terms of the midterms themselves, I've noticed a bit of a turning tide. And I heard it this past week, and it didn't get much play, didn't get much press. I know why. But when you have these two people, these two very important people say things like this, then I'm beginning to see the writing on the wall. Bernie Sanders this past week said essentially, we, meaning the Democrats, we need to begin to lower our expectations. Then the Democrat party chair, Tom Perez, his quote was, he's urging caution with regard to the midterms.
Right.
See, that to me, you may as well just take a flare and shoot it up into the firmament in the darkest night possible, because what that's telling me is, Democrats, you'd best begin to gird your loins in case that terrible blue tsunami, much less a blue wave, fails to materialize. Them saying that this week bespoke volumes to me.
Right.
Kaiser Schuff, what do you think?
I agree with you. I would say I saw the signal even while I was overseas. During the Kavanaugh hearing, the American people, this is where the disconnect is with the Democrats. The American people, everybody has a father. Everybody has a brother. Everybody has, a son. Do you want your son put up in front of people and to have that kind of a monkey show go on about them from accusers that had absolutely no credibility? And, I could make up, BZ, you molested me when I was a kid. It's not true, but I just said it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what they were doing.
That's an attempt to prove a negative. Now, Kaiser Schuff, I didn't want to mention this until now, but do you remember back in 1983 when you totaled my automobile? I looked you right in the eyes and you drove off, and I was injured, and you've got a price to pay. Now, Kaiser Schuff from 1982 proved to me that you didn't damage my car.
I can't.
You can't. That cannot be done.
It can never happen.
That level of foolishness was placed upon Brett Kavanaugh. I read a story. Kaiser, I read a story last week. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What we saw with Kavanaugh was nothing more than Leventry. What he used to say, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. And that was under the Soviet leader, Stalin.
Yeah.
And people forget, this game that's being played is old. It's very old. And until you can understand the game, my one buddy drives me nuts. I love him to death. But he's like, I don't get why this and why that. And it's like, you don't need to get it. It's actual mental disorder that you're watching being played out and accepted by the mass of America. This is an actual mental disease.
It's insanity.
And it's called liberalism.
Yeah, it's insanity writ large. It's funny you should mention that. There was a book, Michael Savage has written a ton of books, and one of them was, in fact, entitled Leftism or something akin to that is, in fact, a mental disorder. I don't like Michael Savage very much. I think he's a crappy messenger, but I love his message of border, language, and culture. Folks, we're talking to Kaiser Schuff right here, live and direct on the SHR Media Network. We're going to take a break, the final break, come right back, and continue with politics. I've got a ton of questions I'm going to ask Kaiser about the immigrant caravan, Trump in 2020, the deplatforming of conservatives. What's the future of social media? What does a Democrat-controlled House and Senate look like? What happens if Republicans keep the House and the Senate? And you mentioned in your last show, watch your optics, and I'm going to ask you about that as well. People, you're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Go to shrmedia.com. Thanks for being in chat. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This is Sackhead Sean.
And this is Sackhead's Clint.
And Sackhead's BZ.
Join us for a very important SHR Media special report, Election Night, November 6th, as we cover midterm returns live from the SHR Media Studios.
Not only will we have the best live election coverage, we'll have our very own SHR reporters on scene around the nation to keep you immediately updated.
We'll start at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and go until, well, it's over. We may have some choice comments to make along the way.
For the best midterm election night coverage, go to shrmedia.com and watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, and on Periscope. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have had a great time tonight talking for the entire 2 hours to a brilliant individual, a great patriotic dude. We've been talking to Kaiser Schuff all night. And we are in the final segment. It's the final 25 minutes of the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Thanks to so many people for being in chat tonight. Thanks for listening live. And also, I get a ton of hits in podcast. So, folks, thanks for listening to me in podcast as well. When we left, and we're talking to Kaiser Schuff, I said, let's talk about that immigrant caravan, because you had already touched on that. One of the first things that I thought is, I don't believe anymore. I've generally been disabused of coincidences, shall we say. So, Kaiser Schuff, I had questions, and I continue to have questions about this migrant caravan, and I'm being very generous when I call it a migrant caravan. Frankly, I think it's an invasion.
You're absolutely correct on that.
But the question is, because now I'm watching and I'm seeing video and photographs of trucks transporting these people. I'm watching the bulk of these people, and I'm noting, just like the invasion that occurred in Europe, that the bulk of these people are not innocent women and children. They are military and fighting age males who are coming north. The other thing that I noticed, and that everybody kicked this to the curb, the president of Guatemala said, I captured 100 ISIS members in Guatemala, so I believe that they have already insinuated themselves inside the caravan. You can be guaranteed that there are MS-13 elements inside the caravan, because also the history of MS-13 is it will find a young child, take the child with them, use the child to get into the United States, cast the child aside, and now you've got a lovely MS-13 member inside here. The other question you have to ask is, who's funding it? Who's feeding it? Where do all those people piss and shit? This is an organized caravan that is going to get larger. It's not going to get smaller. It will get larger.
Unfortunately, your state is the bellwether. Look, you can't bring the third world into the first world en masse. You might be able to assimilate some a little bit at a time. But in mass migrations, what San Francisco now has an app, a poop app.
Oh, yes.
To tell you what streets are full of shit.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to get that. You know, dirty needles all over the place. There's issues that there are diseases coming back that we had long ago conquered.
Well,
because we're allowing the third world in mass.
Well, and you bring up an excellent point. When you mention disease, there's a massive outbreak of typhus down in Southern California, predominantly in Los Angeles County and its environs around the city of Los Angeles. And that's because we have a massive homeless series of encampments. Folks, we can't take care of our own people. What makes any proper thinking individual believe that we have the infrastructure anywhere to support a massive invasion like this, much less the people that are homeless who are actual Americans here in the United States of America? This is beyond insane. But you're right. You're right, because these people, and we'll know, I think it was prognosticated that it'll be another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Some people have said up to a month before the people get to
the election.
Before they get up to the Mexican border with the United States. I think they'll get here after the elections. There will be some that will come in, but it won't be the bulk of the individuals. And for that, I say thank God for small mercies of that kind. But this is not to be tolerated.
I think, I hope you're right that it takes after the election. But I have a feeling the initial thought process was to get it here before the election.
Yes.
So that something can be orchestrated, a la, let's say, like a Charlottesville.
I believe it.
Where some violence happens at the border, some Americans that are pissed off that they know they're under invasion, and yet our government has no intestinal fortitude to do what needs to be done. It doesn't matter, man, woman, child. You got to remember, I'm just to the right of Genghis Khan in my beliefs. Sometimes somebody has to die to make a point, including myself. It can be myself. I don't exclude myself. It's sort of a tendency that I have to say, hey, recreate Kent State. If somebody pops off some rounds on these people, they're going to walk back across the border. They're not going to keep coming if they know there is the intestinal fortitude and will of the American people to not allow an invasion of our own sovereignty.
But you notice that this is building up to a crescendo, and I'm submitting that it's building up to a crescendo because of the fact that, again, the big umbrella idea is that someone, the American people, the populace, the electorate, decided to install President Donald John Trump in the Oval Office, and we are going to be made to pay for that. Now, Ghost Wolf in chat said George Soros is paying for it. Yes, I completely believe that. I do believe that. Alan Thomas said, totally not vaccinated. We should stop them just for that alone. I agree with that. Then Jan McKillop made another excellent point. Don't see any American flags being waved by the invaders. Stop. What do we see? What do we see? We see Honduran flags and Guatemalan flags and El Salvadoran flags being waved by these people who want to be ensconced within the United States of America. But I don't see any love for the United States of America. I just see people like Jorge Ramos was on Tucker Carlson, and if there isn't a Jorge Ramos is one of the most blatant racists that I can think of, who's given airtime all across the fruited plain by the American media maggots. This is a ploy. This is an attempt to destroy America, but destroy America because Donald John Trump and the American electorate had the temerity to install him in the Oval Office, and we must pay. There must be penitence. We must be hurt. There must be pain. And the Democrats are going to do it.
It's not just Donald John Trump they want to punish.
It's us. It's the Americans.
It's the American people. They want us unclean, unwashed, unkempt underlings to come to heel. That's why they go so hard after the Second Amendment. That's why they go so hard against your rights. Your Bill of Rights is your civil right. People don't get that twisted. And a lot of people do get that twisted. They think they got a civil right, my civil rights. No, your civil rights are your Bill of Rights, and every American citizen has those.
Yes, and
don't allow the government that Bill of Rights is a handcuff to the federal government and to the states, saying you cannot do this to the American people. And that Second Amendment, you notice they've already deplatformed people. You were talking about that. This all coincides. They want less voices, not more, when that's never been the American way. It's more voices, not less.
You make an excellent point. Kaiser Schuff, you make an excellent point about the originations of the U.S. Constitution, of the Bill of Rights. There are positive versus negative rights. The Bill of Rights essentially says that, well, these are facts and evidence that no member of the LDAM believes. Our rights were given to us by God.
God.
No one else. They were not given to us by government. Government is not sacrosanct. Our rights come from God. And I'll be the first to believe that. And the positive versus negative rights is the Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, delineate what the government can't do. They don't tell you what the government can do.
Right.
They proscribe, not prescribe, but they proscribe what the government can't do to the people. And the rights that you acquire naturally are from God, and they are not from the government. The reverse is what the Democrats, the leftists, and the American media maggots want to be true, that your rights are installed and by the grace of government proffered to you, because the Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots will remove your rights from you and then sell them back to you.
Well, just like we were talking, they're going after our Second Amendment because they know that the First Amendment that has been under assault, there's pushback. A lot of people, I told everybody it was a hot civil war within the IC. You remember when we had this discussion.
Yes.
And it's been a cold civil war in America. The Democrats are purposely trying to turn it into a hot civil war. The problem that they have is they're still living in the past civil war we had. It's not going to be North versus South or East versus West or some sort of myopic thought. It becomes a war at doorbell level. The cities versus the countryside. That's really what a civil war will look like. And people don't, this sticky, wet masturbational fantasy that you get from survivalists and all kinds of people that proffer that, you know, whatever, end of rule of law, this other garbage, they don't understand. They've not seen destabilizing of a nation, and we have been destabilized. And we're being destabilized.
Yes, we are.
And I've worked destabilization and restabilization jobs. And I'm telling you, this is playbook 101. Like I said earlier, the three legs of the stool. They don't have the military yet. That's what the indoctrination with academia and our youth is about.
Well, and
as Khrushchev said, he would bury us without firing a shot.
Well, and guaranteed, your insight to this and everyone else's, that is precisely why the LDAM fought so hard against Judge Brett Kavanaugh, who is now Associate Justice, thank God, Brett Kavanaugh, because they couldn't generally force their way down the throats of much of the American populace. So what was left to them, because Hillary has not been installed, and I say that, installed as president, and so they perceive that one of the few venues left that they have in order to survive and keep their foot on your throat in perpetuity is, in fact, the United States Supreme Court. But wait, in the meantime, kind of sub rosa and very quietly, Donald John Trump has also been installing any number of lower circuit judges and appellate judges at a greater time now than any other time in the history of, as far as I can recall, the past 5 or 6 or 7 presidents. That is a win as well. They fought tooth and nail to keep Kavanaugh out because now the Supreme Court is going to tend to lean. But it's no guarantee that it will tend to lean just a little bit to the right. And they're pissed because now the Supreme Court is no longer a guarantee to vote for Democrats.
And it's also not a guarantee, look, for Republicans. Look at John Roberts.
Yes, that's my
point. How many times he's
Exactly. It's not a guarantee.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, there's good. Our judiciary has always been our weakness. Bader Ginsburg, she's going to die, something's going to happen, and he'll likely have to replace her. And they're hoping that she doesn't die before at least his final year, where they, you know, in the election cycle, so they can pull the Obama move. hey, you've only got a year left. It should be the next president who puts in the Supreme Court justice, right? But their whole backfield is weak. I mean, right now, we're looking at politics in America is like a horse race. It's a great time. It's a fun time. But the thing is the Democrats, they have to win. That's what they believe. They have to win. Republicans, we look at it as politics as a sport, okay? But they have to win because culturally they deserve it. They have the intelligence to guide this nation, not the unwashed masses.
Oh, they're much more intelligent than you are. Just ask them. They'll tell you.
Exactly. Yeah, they'll tell me every time. And that's fine. I know better. I know common sense. They don't have any common sense. They have a mental disorder. And unfortunately, it's all kinds of words got forgotten in what their uses are. Democrats are retarded in their development. They are mentally retarded.
Well, they have no clear thinking.
They have no, I don't know what's the matter with them. It is a mental disease that I can't even diagnose, but I know that they don't think right. They don't understand. Truth is black and white. There is no gray area. There's nothing to look into.
They don't understand reality. Here's another example.
Right.
You mentioned it earlier. Why is it that in terms of leftists, the science is nailed down? It is absolutely immured when it's regarding climate change or, global warming or whatever buzz phrase of the week they want to use to trot that old saw out. For every study saying that there's global warming and climate change, and of course there's climate change, they're called the seasons, but for every scientific study that says that it is anthropogenic, that is to say caused by man, I can show you another study that says the exact opposite. Now they're willing, I call them the religious left because of this. They're willing to believe, to have faith. Hallelujah, brother, there is climate change, and I believe in the science of climate change, but they won't believe in the science of two things, XX and XY. There's the XX chromosome and the XY chromosome. And guess what? There aren't anymore. It doesn't exist in science.
Either have it's basic physics, or not physics, basic physical thing that you are born with. You either dangle, you have an innie or an outie. The way you use it is irrelevant. I don't care. But, I'm not some demon-kin, wolf-kin, whatever. Some of the labels they come up with, and all of a sudden they're up to like 106 different sexes. I mean,
yeah, it's just beyond stupid.
It's ignorant. Alan was right when he said they're ignorant on purpose, and it's a choice to be ignorant. And stupid ignorance can be fixed, but stupid is for life. And the stupidity is being promulgated by academia and by the media. Consumerism always leads to certain things. This is a cycle that I've seen over and over and over and over again in history even. You look at it, and Rome fell, all empires fall. And the cycle is always the same. It's not the enemy at the gates that the empire fears. It's the enemy within it, who their whispers.
Which is why
you're used to their colloquialism.
Which is why you take a constitutional oath. I took one, you took one.
Yep.
Where we are to defend the United States of America against enemies, foreign and domestic. Precisely.
Right. And guess what? There is not any part in that oath that we swear that says only during my time of service.
No, I'm an oath keeper.
Oath. Yeah, that's an oath you took by God.
I'm an oath keeper.
To defend this nation.
I'm a silverback. I defend the thin blue line. I believe in all of those things, and my watch never ends as long as I'm alive.
Right.
And neither does yours.
And it shouldn't. Right, it shouldn't. Because that's an oath you swore to God. You swore that oath to God. And so the vows of your marriage should be as sacrosanct as your oath to God.
Mike John Pasqua in chat says you can't fix stupid, according to Ron White. If you remember, folks, during that hurricane in New Orleans that hit New Orleans terribly, anybody remember General Honoré, who also said, you can't fix stupid?
Fix stupid, yep.
And
that's true.
That phrase just kind of leaps out at me as well.
Yeah. But see, that we're talking an era, I hate to do it because, my son is serving, but even our military has changed.
Yes, it has.
In a lot of manner.
Yeah.
And these things there's something about keeping the old ways, respecting the old gods and the Christ God and all of that, whatever. But these things were immutable to Americans and understood. The generations before us, we shame. And somehow we have to inculcate and mentor the youth in the old ways. And that's everybody on their own personal level has to do that. I've done it. This is just something that it used to be second nature to Americans to understand what the 4th of July was, what Veterans Day was, what Memorial Day was. And that is America. And there's reason and purpose behind these things. And we've allowed our culture to be diluted and polluted. And that's another issue, my friend.
Can you imagine, Kaiser Schuff, and for everyone listening to us live right now, and to everyone who happens to be in chat, and to the folks that are listening in podcast, can you imagine what the dead men and women in Arlington must be thinking about the state of their country right now? Can you imagine what those members those few who are still living, part of the greatest generation, and fought in World War II, not just to keep the United States safe, but to keep the entire planet from tyranny? Can you imagine what those people who are still alive are thinking about the current state of the United States of America right now? This is a crisis. It's an unprecedented crisis. I am in my 7th decade. I've seen a ton of crap in all of my years, and I really do say this. I have not seen yet an election, certainly not in a midterm, that is every bit as critical as this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you must get out. Return your absentee ballots. You must get out on November 6th. As Ghost Wolf says, tell all the leftist Democrats and the American media maggots that the general election is actually on the 7th, November 7th. But for us clear-thinking individuals, November 6th, go there, quick like a bunny, cast your ballot, do it early, and be a proud American. We can keep the House, Kaiser Schuff. I believe we can keep the House, and we can keep the Senate, and we will keep the Oval Office, and it's Trump again for 2020. I don't think I have anything more to say than that, except this.
You're exactly correct. You're exactly correct in that, BZ.
Ladies,
there is no reason to be a defeatist.
No. I have guarded optimism. I have optimism. Next Thursday's show, I didn't have time to do it tonight. But again, I'm going to give you story after story after story after story after story that's positive, that shows that there are some great things occurring in the United States that you need to know about and that no one else is going to tell you. The American media maggots, I call them that because they are. They're maggots. They feed on the dead and the dying and the moribund.
Mainstream media, I don't even like to call it mainstream. It's the mass propaganda media. And they are the only ones allowed to have a narrative. Everybody else, sit down, shut up, and put your seatbelt on. They want to drive this nation.
Yep.
Well, they've done one hell of a fucking job driving this nation into the fucking gutter.
Yes.
And they don't get to do it anymore.
No.
More voices, not less. The American people have the will. You must have the will to right this ship of state. Donald John Trump has that will. Does anybody else out there?
Great comments.
Backbone?
Great comments from chat. Jan McKillop says, tears from heaven. Beantown Billy says, my grandfather is in Luxembourg. Same graveyard as Patton. And yes, they were the greatest. Ghost Wolf says, I already mailed in my red ballot.
Good.
Make America
MAGA.
great. Yeah, make America great again. Thank you ever so kindly, Kaiser Schuff, for being here in the show for all 2 hours tonight. And
Loved it.
Let's see, before November, we may have the ability to have you on again. Folks, you can listen to Kaiser on his own YouTube channel, Swordpoint 9.
Yep.
And thank you again for being here tonight. It was a pleasure, and it was an honor, and it was all mine. Thank you ever so kindly,
God bless, brother.
sir. Thank
right.
you. Ghost Wolf, awesome guest. You bet he was. Always an awesome guest. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you've been listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. This November 6th, if you want to find out what's happening in the elections, be here. Go to shrmedia.com. It's going to be myself, Jeff Dunitz, Sackhead Sean, Sackheads Clint, and other reporters that are going to be weighing in on election night. You got to listen to the coverage. I think we can do it. I believe we can keep the House, keep the Senate, and then we'll stand back for at least a day or two and watch all the various leftist heads implode when they finally begin to grok the concept that the people and the denizens of the United States of America are finding them less and less material. And they can't stand that. Also, this coming Thursday night, tune in, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I'm going to have Brandon Straka, the creator of the entire hashtag Walkaway movement, in on the show. Thanks for being here tonight. God bless, take care, be safe. Sackheads tomorrow night.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing? Good night. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.